What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and welcome back to Kirby Mass Attack. Last time, we defeated the first world, the Green Grounds, and this time, we are going to be starting the Sandy Canyon. So let's go ahead and start with Stage 1. And of course, since we are in a new world and we just warped here, we only have one Kirby. And this is the first main mechanic of the Sandy Canyons, quicksand. And that poor bean bond. Quicksand, basically, if you stand on it and don't move for long enough, you start to sink. But you can mash and have the Kirby swim upwards to get out of the quicksand. So it's not actually super dangerous unless you're just not paying attention. And because we only have one Kirby, I'm going to be collecting every single piece of fruit I can. And this is our first new enemy of the area. This is called a Stactus, even though it's only one right now. This is specifically a green Stactus, which have the properties of being able to move slightly back and forth. And they will sometimes produce spikes, which will hurt the Kirbys if you run into the spikes. But we have gotten our second Kirby, and I don't think we've even eaten the Maximado yet. Oh, I guess we have eaten the Maximado. Don't sink, please. And we have another Stactus. It's weird that they're called Stactuses when the first two you see aren't stacked. But the reason they're called Stactuses are actually right here. These are the other two colors of Stactuses. You have the green ones, which I've gone over already. You have these orangish red ones, which will never produce spikes and will never move, so they are completely harmless. And then you have these cyan ones, which are impenetrable, so you cannot defeat them without throwing something else on top of them, and they will always have spikes. So you literally cannot touch the cyan ones or you will be hurt. But the easiest way is just to run up to this orange one and attack it. The orange ones also have slightly more health than the green ones, mostly because they are completely helpless. They can't defend themselves, so they give them more health to make them a little bit harder to just take out. And that's basically the main reason that they're called Stactuses anyway, is because they stack on top of each other. But we are just going to try to get as much fruit out of this fruit box as possible to get our Kirby numbers up. And we've gotten up to 4. And if we could take out these two, we can get some more fruit. Thankfully, the Stactuses, when they are stacked like that, whoops, not paying attention. Give me the regular one. Thank you. The Stactus, when they are stacked up, will actually give you more fruit than the single Stactuses, which makes complete sense because they are technically more than one enemy. And also, you could just climb up the Stactuses like that by mashing if you wanted to. But that's also how we get our first medal of this stage. And if we can get out of the hole, we will go through this door to show something off. Because this stage technically has two ends. You can go through this door, which will open directly behind you again, so you can go back if you want. But if we go forward, you'll see the stage gets dark, and that's the exit door. But we don't have the rainbow medal or 4 of the 5 medals, so we're just gonna head back in, if I can get back into the door. And I believe all we need to do is attack these Stactuses. Just fly overhead and grab onto the red one. Red one's gonna be difficult and not let me just defeat it. Apparently it takes 5 Kirbys to defeat it. And we are now back into water levels, which is dangerous because we only have 4 Kirbys. So we only have 4 air gauges. So this is one of the most dangerous water levels in the game because you can't just go through it without really caring about your air level because of the number of Kirbys you have. And this is another new enemy. This is a Qin. And I believe we only get to see the green one in this level, but there are 3 types, but I'm just going to go over the green ones. The green ones will always suck in water, and if the Kirbys get into its mouth, they die. So it's very important to keep in mind when it's sucking in water and how close you can get to it without losing a Kirby. You can actually mash to get the Kirbys out of the current, so it's not the most dangerous enemy, and it's also a very predictable enemy since it will always suck in water, and it will telegraph when it's sucking in water. And we have yet another new enemy. This is a mean squid. This is Scoopy, a like semi-boss. Basically, you just have to grab its tentacle when it's not a spike ball, and then you have to mash the Kirby faces to pull it out of the place where it's at. It's not a super difficult enemy, but as you can see, it hit every single one of my Kirbys because I wasn't being careful. And now we're just riding the waves and getting rid of this giant rock that has been blocking our path. How much water pressure would that take? Now that I'm thinking about it. Like, that was a massive boulder. That would have to take so much water to move. And yet another new enemy. These are called blishes. Basically they're just stationary or sometimes moving fish that shoot spikes out of their mouths. And if you get speared by them, of course your Kirbys get hurt. But we need to go through this golden door here and meet this new enemy. This is called a Crazy Stactus. I don't know why it's called a Stactus at all, because it doesn't stack. It's a singular. And it also doesn't hurt you if you get hit by it while it's going back and forth. It's only if you throw it into the spikes on the side of it that you get hurt. And the whole purpose of these is to grab the head of it and split it in half. It's brutal. And it's just not a difficult enemy. That's the green Crazy Stactus. There are different forms of the Stactus that we'll go over, or the Crazy Stactus that we'll go over later. And we just need to run across and grab this medal for our 3rd medal. And that should be close to all of the new enemies of this stage, actually. They throw a bunch at you in this first stage for some reason. They're just like, throw everything! Leave no Kirby behind! But we are just going to, yet again, try to get as many Kirbys from this fruit box as well. And I believe that should be all the fruit. And this Blish is just gonna start shooting the fruit in the air. The Blish are kind of interesting enemies since whatever they hit gets shot straight up into the air. They could be used in puzzles, kind of like this one. How do we get this medal out of the water? We can just position the Kirbys over it and the Blish will shoot it out and we can just grab it. And it's really cool being able to use enemies to do puzzles like that when it would be almost impossible to get the stuff without using the enemies. Can we just take out this big bean bomb before it throws us off like that? I don't want it to be able to shoot stuff. Thank you. And that, we can actually attack the Blishes. If we can get into the water with them, they are vulnerable, technically. We can just attack them, and they'll give fruit like anything else. But we don't really need to beat that one. We just need to go through this door. And in this door, I believe we're on a scrolling stage. So what we need to do here is slightly more difficult. But you just want to get as forward as possible and throw at these petals. Get at least one Kirby on each so that they all fall. And you can get whatever is inside. This one is just a bunch of bananas. But this one is the more important one. And I've missed. Can we please knock it off as quickly as possible? Because we actually need to get what's inside this one, which is the last medal of this stage. And my poor Kirbys have been beaten up by all of the different plants in this place. It's weird that also most of the enemies in this level are plant-based. Like, the stactuses and stuff are just an interesting enemy, and they're only in Kirby Mass Attack, so this is the only game that they ever appear in, which is pretty cool. But that is stage 1 completely done, so now we will head to stage 2 with only 3 medals, which is nice. And you only need 1 Kirby to enter this level because they give you multiple levels that you can go into at the beginning of each world. But we have 6 of them, so hopefully we can actually do what we need to do here. And can we just take out this crazy stactus? No, my Kirby! It killed my Kirby immediately! You stupid cactus. If we could just knock it out, it should be able to be taken out right here. With a 7th Kirby on the way. Kirby, get out of the quicksand. And I want to destroy all of these. I don't think there's anything in them, but just to make sure. And you can actually see that the green stactuses are moving slightly side to side. Here, like I said last episode. And that was very close to being a mistake. And we have some more new enemies right here. These are called Floofs. Which, yes, is... is a weird name for an enemy, if I'm being completely honest. They're just like, what are we gonna call these clouds? That's a floof if I've ever seen one. But we need to just continue forward, and I believe we have a obstacle here. And I actually want to fly over this because it'll be easier to attack the red one from the back than trying to just go from above. And I forget if I need to do anything with these blocks or not. I believe I do, but I believe I can't right now. So we'll just take out the 2 stactuses to get them out of the way. And fly up through here to recover my Kirbys, because that crazy stactus was mean to me. We can hit this block, and I believe that'll give us... They are really generous with the fruit boxes in this level or in this world for some reason. They're just like, give them every fruit box in existence. I want to just break as many of these boxes as possible to make it so the fruit box is the only one left, which just makes it easier to attack once it comes out. I believe I want to just pick up the fruit that has fallen already so I don't lose a bunch of fruit. And which side are you coming out on? This side. And that should be everything. We're gonna miss out on fruit. I lost some fruit, but we got 9 anyway, so that's fine. And next up is another stactus. Worlds are just populated with stactuses. And I believe this wall right here, this cracked wall, is our next warp gate, which we shouldn't have to use, I believe. This stage is fairly simple, I say, as there's metal blocks just blocking the next thing we need to get. But I believe if we go forward, there's a new enemy here that will be of help to us. Somewhere. Get out of the quicksand! I guess I could bring this up now. I very much dislike this world. It is, in my opinion, one of the most difficult worlds in this game. And in that same vein, is just one of the more annoying ones. I'm really not a fan of this world, but this is another new enemy that we have access to. This is a Flicker Floof, which is just a rain cloud that you can lead around to grow different things that you need to be grown. And I believe if we actually go over, it will make this a big plant, and you can actually use it to, 1, kill the Flicker Floof, and 2, get this metal that we need. And the Flicker Floofs will automatically respawn because they're needed for puzzles and stuff. So there's an unlimited amount of Flicker Floofs in this part of the level specifically, but you just want to make sure that you're not under them when they strike lightning, because, you know, lightning is deadly and stuff. Take out that one, and this should give us our 10th Kirby, hopefully. And we need to just continue. And if you see, the Flicker Floof will actually grow these seeds as well, and you can get extra fruit out of them. And basically our main goal of this level is to lead the Flicker Floofs to what we need them to water, which in this case is this thing. Please don't snap us. Okay, everyone, stop. You're all in the wrong areas. Got some more fruit. We don't really need to worry about fruit anymore, but we do need to worry about this. We need the Flicker Floof to grow this. And as you can see, there is a 10 on it. So we need 10 full Kirbys to be able to pull this out of the ground. And as all of the things that have 10 on them, they will always produce a lot of fruit and also a medal. And that should be our second medal, I believe. And I don't believe we need the Flicker Floof to water anything else. It was basically just used for the first 2 medals in this stage, and that's about it. I actually wanted to water this because I believe if it can water it fully, we can just roll down this place. I'm gonna move slightly because it's gonna shoot lightning. And get all 10 of my Kirbys on here, and we'll start rolling. And thankfully, actually, I believe the Flicker Floof was needed for that because it makes our lives easier. But the last medal should be close to here. Yes, it's right here. This wild Stactus is the key to our success. As unfortunate of a sentence as that is. If we could just knock him down, it'll go all the way down here, which hopefully all of our Kirbys are down here. I'm not going to bother counting. But we can go down here and go into this cannon, and that will fire us up into the clouds, where we will see more Flicker Floofs, as well as a big, or not Flicker Floofs, more Floofs, as well as a big Floof, which is holding our last medal. And all you have to do is run your Kirbys and grab the big Floof. And eventually you will destroy the big Floof and get your medal. And we'll just destroy this last Floof because we can. And that should be... Hello. Big Floof, we need that cannon, please. Yeah. They're real creative with the names, if I'm being honest. We got Floof, we got Flicker Floof, and we got Big Floof. But that is the end of stage 2. And of course, one of our Kirbys died like immediately, so we only get a bronze star. And we can move on to stage 3 with another 5 medals and 5 Kirbys required to get into it. And as we move forward here, I believe there is another new enemy that's right here. We're just gonna move past that door that is very clearly under the ground and go over here and do this light puzzle. I believe after we hit this, we have to hit them 6 in a row, I believe. And that should give us access to this door. Hey look, we can finally access the level instead of just being stuck at the beginning. Welcome to the first level that is indoors in the desert. Luckily, it means less sand, which is always helpful and always appreciated, actually. That question mark will just tell you about these rings that are pushed that you can grab onto to pull stuff and lift stuff and everything. Basically, you just have to put a number of Kirbys on it that is heavier than what you're trying to pull down, and it will pull the thing down or pull the thing up, which is used a lot in this level. And this technically is another new enemy. In all of my notes, I just called it a swamp because it's effectively what it is, but these are actually called grindars. I don't know why, because they don't grind anything, and in fact, all they do is smash stuff, but they're called grindars. And this is our first example of a Bean Bond variant that has now died, but that is a Mum Bond. And what it does is it, instead of shooting seeds, shoots the same poison that the snooze roots shoot. And they will come back alive after a certain amount of time because they are undead Bean Bonds, basically. No! You killed my friend! Okay, everyone through. Everyone through. We don't have the manpower to deal with that. I should also mention these silver ones, or these stone ones, are impossible to break. And I bring that up because there are versions of this that are possible to break. You're giving me that tutorial now? Alright, retreating. Tap twice to make Kirby's pull off a foe for a quick retreat. Basically, it's saying that because this is a big Stactus. And technically, it's a new enemy. But basically, all it does is it shoots out those spikes above its head. And if you're clinged onto it, then you will be damaged once it shoots the spikes out. And I want to put 3 on there, I believe. And then I can just use the rest of these to collect these fruit. And once we have all that, we can just continue forward and use this big Stactus to collect that metal. And I don't believe there's actually anything in these blocks, but I might as well destroy them to make sure. Basically that big Stactus, since it's a green big Stactus, it's able to move. So you want to make sure it's above those metal blocks when you go to take it down, so you can get the metal. And that is all pink Kirbys. And I believe this is another section. Oh, here's our example of a grinder you could actually defeat. These brown ones are not impenetrable, so you can just have your Kirbys basically run into them and destroy them without much cause at all. And I believe, yes, that is our second medal. And you just have to put enough Kirbys on it to be able to pull it down. I believe it's 4 that has to be on it to pull it all the way down in order to have enough leeway to get the medal. And I'm just going to let this grind our thwomp again and run under it. And I believe this door is our next warp door. Go ahead and take this Stactus out. And we want to go under here and break through here and go through the door before we get crushed. That was very close. And we just need to go through and blast through these cannons. And I believe we just want to line up everything to get our rainbow medal of the stage. That one's fairly easy to get because it's literally just flying in a circle, so if you time it correctly, you get it every time. And they give us another magic ring. I didn't remember that they did that. And we just want to fly over this Stactus so that we can attack the orange one without dying, I guess, to the cyan ones. And if we take out this grinder, it makes our lives easier because we need 10 Kirbys in order to get on this ring. And with 10 Kirbys, it will lift up that medal, which is our 4th medal, I believe. And we're just gonna run past all these guys. And what we need to do is we need to run back and blow up that wall. And I believe Yeah, there's a skeleton key over there. So what we need to do is once we blow up that wall, we just go above here, avoiding all the grindars, and we can break that with the bomb and get our skeleton key, which will lead us to the Scully realm, or the Nightmare realm, or whatever you want to call this, to get our last medal, and doing the patent pending strategy of throw Kirby's upward and win. Come on, get the red one, get the red Scully. And once we get the red Scully, that should make all the other ones leave. Luckily, before they actually grab us. And that's our last medal. And we should teleport right back to where they sent us. And go through this door, and this should be close to the end of the level. Oh yeah, we have a mini-boss. I forgot about you. Say hello to the most creatively named boss in this game. This is a bigger Stactus. It is Big Stactus, but more. And basically, you know the fight that we did with the big war wiggle? It's that fight again, basically. Except instead of hitting a part that's halfway down its body, you have to throw at its head. And I think you have to defeat it like 3 times in order to actually defeat it. But I just love the name that they're like, I guess we just call it a bigger Stactus because we already called an enemy a big Stactus. And this is technically our only example of a purple Stactus. It's only in this boss fight, and it works the exact same way as the green bigger Stactus, except I think it has a little bit more health. And you can see that it's being annoying and just popping up and down. You want to stay up more than 4 seconds? Thank you. And with that, that should be the boss. It's not a difficult boss, you just have to beat it 3 times and avoid it and make sure you don't throw into the spikes. But with that, that is the stage cleared and another bronze star. And this is our rainbow stage that gets us into the interior of the island, or the world, I guess. And with that, we have a rainbow bridge. Alright, and that is the first 3 stages of the Sandy Canyon. So, I think we're gonna end it here. I hope that everyone enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Next time, we will be doing stages 4, 5, and 6 of the Sandy Canyon. But until then, happy adventuring!